Want to do some sled training like Ben Patrick talked about on Joe Rogan's podcast, but you have no sled or the space to do it? Get yourself a door anchor, get yourself some heavy resistance band, hook your anchor into your door so that the door is pulling shut and not pulling open. Take your band, feed it through your anchor, feed one end through the other end, step into your band, hook it around your hips, and back pedal. Control it, bring it back and forth. Now you don't want to stretch it so far that you're going beyond the safe limit of the band, which is usually about triple the resting length or a 200% increase. So you want to go with a heavier band that gives you the resistance. You never want to have this set up on the side of the door so that it's pulling the door open or you'll rip it off the hinge. Always on the side pulling the door shut on the handle side. And I'm pulling back. This is a heavier band so I can get a good warm up and go through 30 reps before I do any of my leg workouts. Going backwards, I can switch and go forwards just as easily. Now with a limited space, one of the best things you can do is just alternate your feet and drive back. Really trying to emphasize getting that big toe down into the ground, pushing off the lead leg onto the toes of the back leg. The further back you go, the more resistance. The forward direction is one of my favorites because you can really get a arch strengthening in your foot by just going back and forth, pushing off, getting your calf and your toe flexors. This helps with heel pain, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendinitis, calf pain, knee pain. Most of us don't have the strength in our feet needed for normal activities, and this is a great way to build it back up. I really like using this method because it also helps with deceleration, which is the cause of so many injuries. Your ability to control and stop yourself coming forward against force. The band is bringing you forward slightly. So this builds that resilience and quickness in those tendons. Now there's the option to go backwards on your treadmill against the internal resistance from the motor. But I wouldn't recommend that. There's no guarantee that that's not going to beat up your treadmill and shorten your life. You can do the same thing pressing forward against the resistance of the motor, but for the same reasons, we may not want to do that option. You can of course run backwards on your treadmill in that 3 to 5 mile per hour range, but you're not going to get the resistance that you would get from the sled or the resistance band. And that's really what we're looking for to strengthen those ligaments and tendons of the knee. There are self-powered treadmills available where you're going to be the one pushing the resistance instead of the motor or the treadmill. I'll put a link for one in the video description, along with some links for the door anchor and the resistance band. The reason Ben Patrick's able to train on the sled 6 days a week, like he talked about in the Joe Rogan podcast, is the same way that you can too. It's because when you're doing the sled training, you're working the muscle concentrically only, meaning it never goes through the eccentric phase or the lengthening of the muscle. The lengthening resistance training, or the negative, is the contraction that causes the most muscle damage and leaves you with the most amount of DOMS, or delayed onset muscle soreness. That's why it's recommended often that you wait 2, 3, even 4 days between exercising the same muscle, because the belief is there's so much tissue disruption, you need that time to recover. However, if you train only concentrically, you can essentially do it every day without the breakdown of the tissue. This is the way that Ross Edgley describes his training in preparation for the world's longest rope climb. He needed to train his biceps to be able to do thousands and thousands of repetitions in the same day. There's no way he could have done it on his own, so he had the help of a friend who would take the dumbbell out of his hand at the top of the range of motion. He would drop his arm, grab the weight again, lift it, and that process would repeat so he could do hundreds and hundreds of repetitions without dealing with any considerable soreness. The moral of the story is, yes, you can go to physical therapy 3 days a week. In fact, you can probably go 5 days a week and it'll be okay. To watch a review of monkey feet exercises and the device, click over here. To watch a review of the tib bar, click down here. To watch a review of the, where am I standing?